there, it's time for math. What I would like for you to do today is look for your paper clock that looks like this. Last week, remember we added the minute hand to your clock? And we're going to talk about time and clocks today. So go ahead and go get your clock and come right back. What I want to talk to you about today is when we talk about half past or the half hour. So before I do that though, take a look at your clock. On your clock, there's little lines. Each one of these lines stands for 1 minute. Now to make it easier, some clocks will put numbers below there so we know how many minutes there are. So from the 12 to the 1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And they wrote a little teeny 5 there. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then there's 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 plus 5 is 10. If that's 10 minutes, we have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So each number, in between each number, is 5 minutes. Now, today, if I told you to color half of this clock, what would that look like? If I had to color half of this clock, let me see. We talked about halves earlier this week, so I know that it's 2 equal parts, so I'm going to divide it right down the middle. And what if I were to shade in this whole section? See how half of the clock is shaded in? Now, if it was 4 o'clock on my clock, and you can put 4 o'clock on your clock too, that would be fine. The minute hand would be on the 12. The hour hand would be on the 4. Now, if I moved the minute hand halfway around the clock, so it's pointing down now, I'll have it go around and point down, we would say that that was half past 4 o'clock, or half past 4. Now, another thing happens as the minute hand is going around the clock. I'll show it up here so you can see it a little bit better. So if I have my clock at 4 o'clock, remember the big hand is the minute hand, the smaller hand is the hour. So as the minute hand is going around, guess what? The hour hand is slowly moving around too. So once that minute hand is pointing down and it's half past 4 o'clock, the hour hand needs to be right in the middle too. It has to be halfway between the 4 and the 5. And we would say that it's half past 4. So on your own clocks, that's why I like that they're colored, because you can see that it is still in, at least on my clock, it's still in the pink section that I colored for 4. So I know it has not made it to number 5 yet. Just like in a book, if it was number 4, the 4th chapter, and number 5, it has not made it to the 4th chapter yet. We're still in the 5th chapter. We're still in the 4th chapter. So it has to be right in the middle between the 4 and 5. And I see that it's still pink. So it must be half past 4. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about with time today, just half past the hour. Now, in your packet of stuff, there is a worksheet like this with clocks. And there's 2 sides to it. So make sure you do both sides. On this side, with the little worms at the top, you have to write the time. So if it's, let me see here, any of them, some of them have o'clock on it. So if it's half past an hour, like half past 4, we would say 4:30 because it's 30 minutes past 4 because there's 60 minutes in a whole hour. So there's a little 30 there. I don't know if you can see it or not. So in order to write 4:30, if you were to look at it on a digital clock, you would write 4, because remember that's the hour, and then the colon, dot, dot, and then 30. That's 4:30. Now remember, I started at 4 o'clock. Now if I were to look at the digital clock for 4 o'clock, the hour hand is still pointing at 4, so I start with 4, put your colon in there, but this time it's on 12, and basically 12 is our start, so it's 0. So it would be 0, 0. That would be 4 o'clock. On this paper, you have to write the digital time. So they did the first two for you. So this one is 2:30. You see that the hour hand is just a little bit past the 2. So it's going to be 2:30. If you look at the next one, the hour hand is just a little bit past the 4. So it's 4:30. Now, if the minute hand, if the longer hand is pointing at 12, it's always going to be o'clock, which is 0, 0. So here, let me see here. Here, I see the minute hand pointing to the 12. So you're going to write the hour hand is pointing at 6. So it's going to be 6 o'clock. So 6, 0, 0. Once you fill in the time on this side, flip it over. Then you just have to draw lines to the right time. You can draw the lines to the different times on the page there. So some of them, it will be o'clock, and some of them it will be half past or on the 30. Okay, and we'll talk more about time next week because I know it's a little bit tricky. So when you're done with this, take a picture of both sides and send it to us. Have fun.